financial literacy, why is it important and what it is. You have a lot of experience. I show like 7+ experience, teaching people in public speaking. What can you talk about it?
Well, personal finance is the crux of everything. You can't be a profitable investor if you don't have a proper budget, or as I like to say, your money moves. Budget isn't really a fun word anymore. But I will say that personal finance and financial literacy is the foundation to being an investor. And being an investor, in my opinion, is the foundation to closing the racial and gender wealth gap and other financial inequities that we see in our society. For example, there's also another phrase that you can't dismantle the master's house with the same tools. I think in the same way with investing, we can't see in relation to the gender wealth gap, women, or in relation to the racial wealth gap, Black Americans, we can't see these mass chasms or these mass disparities with personal finance. We can't see that start to close unless we start to use different mechanisms. So that's why I love talking about cryptocurrency as well as other diversified assets, because we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. But I really want minorities to be more aware about investing and how to invest properly and profitably, especially in spaces like cryptocurrency, because there is much more growth in those spaces. So the more growth, the less that gap is. However, we need to proceed with caution. As many people have probably heard, there have been rug pulls, there have been kind of like scam coins. But with any new industry, there are going to be people that will always be on the bad side, on the side of evil. So it's so very important that as we strategically use assets like cryptocurrency and other diversified methods to close that racial wealth gap, that we also are focusing on education, which is why I'm so passionate about education, and I'm building a tool to directly address that.
People talk about owning homes, how you can leverage home ownership to build generational wealth. Also, I wanted to ask you about credit score and debt management, and as you know, a lot of people have bad credits, and how, what can they do to get out of that? And also, a lot of people have credit card debt, student loan debt, and you have a great idea using your crypto profit to pay your student loan debt. Wow, that's so innovative. So what can you say about that, to manage the debt and your credit score?
And it's so interesting when we think about credit, because 100 years ago, it did not exist. Credit scores in the US did not exist. So it's just kind of in a sense, a practical joke that this is even something that exists right now. But since it does exist, we need to work in the systems to break the systems and to create different results. So I would say that for those who do not know what credit is, it's a measure of your payment history. How good of a steward are you with your money, or how good are you with paying back debts that you owe? And credit, especially in the US, is king. The higher your credit score, the less you will overall pay in interest. Interest is basically the amount of additional applied to the initial loan that you owe. So if I have a $1,000 loan and I have a 10% interest rate, then I'm going to be assigned an extra 10% per that $1,000 that I will need to pay on advance, right? Whereas if we use that same scenario, say someone has a better credit score than the person with the 10% interest rate, they might only have to pay an interest of 5%. So they're paying less over time. So credit matters, because the higher your score is, the less you will have to pay on your debts, whether that's student loan, car, home, anything of that nature, even personal and credit card, right? So it's so very important to, number one, be aware of your credit score. You can get that for free online, as well as if you want to call the individual 3 bureaus, you can call them as well to get your free credit score. Your credit score is also not permanent. Not only does it change as your money spending changes and your habits change, but also if you see incorrect things on your report, you can call directly or dispute those transactions online, whether it's something as simple as a misspelling of your name, or even as broad as having a late fee. You can get those removed from your credit report, and it will increase your score. And again, the higher your score, the less you will pay in interest.
Right.
So I will say that credit is king in the US. You can have control of it. Again, similar to investing, don't let fear keep you from it. I know sometimes people just don't check it because they're just afraid. They're afraid of seeing what's there. But the first step of financial success is financial organization, organizing your values and understanding what your money story was and how you engaged with money as a child, but also the organization of what are my current accounts? Where do I receive money? Where do I pay money? What are my debts, loans, different things of that nature? So I will say, just get started, get aware, be knowledgeable of what your credit currently is, and then you can actually make a plan towards fixing it or even paying it down.
Right. How about the debt, credit card debt and student loan debt?
Yeah, so there are really two main methods to pay down debts. We have the snowball method and the avalanche method. So I like to say the snowball method is for those that need quick wins. You want to have that immediate gratification. So that looks like paying down your smallest balance first. So for example, if I have a $50 credit card balance and a $10,000 student loan, I'm going to go for that $50 credit card balance because most likely based on, how the budget works and with the smallness of that amount, I will be able to pay off that $50 first before the $10,000. In my mind, the way that it works scientifically, I taught biology before personal finance, so I love talking about this. But in my mind, as I achieve that goal, I'm going to have a chemical rush. I'm going to have a dopamine rush. I'm going to get excited because I just knocked this off of my personal finance or wealth journey goals, right? So that's the snowball method, paying down by the smallest balance first, okay? Now, the avalanche method is actually what is recommended, and it's recommended because you are paying down based off of the highest interest first. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the higher the credit card or the credit score, the lower your interest rate will be. Okay. So for those that have low credit, that means you have a lot of high interest rates. So you'll want to organize your pay down methods based off of that interest rate. So say you have a credit card that is a 30% interest rate, and then a payday loan that is a 25% interest rate, and then a home that is a 5% interest rate. You're going to want to put all of your additional funds beyond the minimum balance. You always want to pay the minimum balance for both methods. But you're going to want to put your additional funds towards the loan that has the highest interest, that 30%, compared to the home that has a 5%. So again, just to recap, snowball method, smallest balance first, having quick wins, and then the avalanche method, highest interest rate first. It will take longer. However, you're saving more money over time because now you're paying less interest.
Wow.